Clock it.
Clock it.
Clock it. Welcome to
Clock It,
where we
post up at the internet.
Damn it! Welcome to Clock It.
We have to do it again. I hit my
What
chin on
is
the
happening
thing.
over? What is happening over?
I'm sorry.
here?
Clock that, okay? Greetings. I'm Simone Sanders Townsend,
And I'm Eugene Daniels. Welcome to Clock It.
where we post up at the intersection of politics and culture.
Because while most politics talk is focused on the halls of power, the real political games are being played outside. They're on football fields, on the runways, and on TikTok.
That's right. You have to remember Donald Trump understands better than, frankly, any other
Yeah.
politician that the culture is where the power is.
And he's been a big part of culture since the 80s, before we were even born. He shows up in music.
I'm at the Trump International, ask for me. I'm just trying to get rich like Trump.
In movies,
You working on Donald?
Well, I'm working on buying St. Patrick's Cathedral.
And of course, on TV.
On January 8th, NBC presents The Ultimate Job, working for the toughest boss. That would be me. Donald Trump. Introducing The Apprentice.
You're fired.
and he rode that wave of attention all the way to the White House.
Twice. So Clock It is where we talk about what we see and hear as the political games bleed into the culture so you can start to clock it too. Simone, tell the people what's going on right now.
Well, today we are talking about Democrats going on a run, even though some of the girls are fighting. We are talking about billionaires cutting costs by decimating our information infrastructure. And we are talking, of course, about the Benito Boy, about how Bad Bunny made Trump so mad that he actually forgot to watch Kid Rock do the body with a bomb, whatever it is that he does. He didn't watch that thing.
It should have been Benito'd Kid Rock. Plus, we'll be joined by my favorite former president, actor Tony Goldwyn, who you probably know as President Fitzgerald Grant III from Scandal. He will be here along with Miles Frost to talk about what, if anything, people with a stage, a microphone, a presence owe the public when society is under political stress.
Welcome to Clock It. Let's get into it. I want to start with Texas.
Yes. Do you know I have a Texas tattoo on my ribs?
You have a Texas tattoo on your ribs, for real?
Because we lived
You
in
are
Texas.
from South Carolina.
But I lived in Texas twice as a kid because I was a military brat. And so when I was in college, I went and I was like, I want to get a Texas tattoo. So I have a big state of Texas and a big cross and a heart where I was living at the time.
I'm not going to discuss the tattoos that I have, but I don't have any states, ladies and gentlemen.
It's my only
Well,
state.
because you got the Texas tattoo, so you must be very well aware of the midterms going on. There's a lot of seats, frankly,
Yes.
up in Texas. There's a governor seat, United States Senate seat, attorney general, lieutenant governor, a lot of state
Very
legislatures.
busy.
Very busy. But we want to focus on what's going on in the Democratic primary, child. Because Democrats have been on a run across the country,
Yeah.
as we just said. They've put up a little winning streak at the state and federal levels. Like here, since Trump 2.0 started in 2025, Democrats have consistently shown growing momentum. They have either won or overperformed
Yeah.
in these special election races. And I think it is foretelling what's to come at the end of this year.
It shows you where the excitement is,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like you can't read too much into some of these special elections, but when you look at who's voting and how they're voting, that tells you if you can get someone to come out on a Tuesday in November on a midterm year.
No state's race, though, I think right about now is more interesting and more, popping up in my group
Right.
chats than what's going on in Texas in the Democratic primary between Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett
Yes.
and State Representative
James Tallarico.
James Tallarico.
The thing that I think is most interesting about this primary for Democrats is that the split in the party is no longer ideological, right?
No,
The
yeah.
actual split is whether you want to fight or not. And I think these two people show how different groups in the Democratic Party want to fight, right? Like James Tallarico, he's much more, his demeanor's calmer.
I got into this because of my students. I got into the classroom in the fall of 2011, right after the state legislature cut $5 billion from our schools. I had 45 kids in one classroom. There weren't enough desks for all those kids, so I had students sitting on the air conditioning unit. It's unacceptable. And that's why I ran for the state legislature. It's why I flipped a Trump district that no one thought was winnable.
And you have someone like Congresswoman Crockett, and she is much more, I think, like a lot of members of Congress that are Democrats, much more in your face.
They're killing people in the middle of the street. They decided to execute a mother of 3 in broad daylight. I don't understand how we are sitting here and acting like this is normal.
Right? She's much more clear and concise. She seems much more ready maybe to fight Donald Trump the way Donald Trump fights.
Some would call her
than Tallarico.
unconventional. Some reports
Correct.
have called her and her campaign
Yes,
unconventional.
correct.
This recently, okay, there was a controversy that popped off on the internet. The fact that in 2026, campaigns are being and races are being appended by what happens on Threads.
Or
Child, I
TikTok.
don't know if and TikTok. I don't know if this was a scheme that Todd set up to encourage people to sign
Todd's
up
very
for Threads.
busy.
Todd is busy, child. But if you weren't on Threads, you were not understanding what
Came
happened
from.
here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is Texas-based TikToker Morgan Thompson. She said she met Tallarico, and this is what she says happened.
James Tallarico told me that he signed up to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman. Colin Allred, the mediocre black man that he's referring to, is an attorney, a former professional football player, and a former congressman. Up until this comment, the conversation was going well. That's why it threw me off so much to have a white man say this to a black woman who was coming to him with concerns in relation to him for black people.
Child. Now, can I just say, a lot of different conversations have sprouted out from this, but as a former comms person, I will say in this new media landscape where folks are making their candidates available to influencers, people, creators, right? People with platforms that have substantial social media followings, particularly in the state or the district that makes a difference. These are also not journalists, and this isn't a slight to Morgan. I'm not trying to slight her, but it was a private conversation. After, like, the creators don't understand off the record.
No, they do not.
So
politicians take
come
note.
on, take note, baby. Okay, if you start talking off the record,
They gonna tell.
they gonna tell it. And so she told about a private conversation she had, and to be clear, his comments were problematic.
I will say this: his team, when they sent out the sort of apology, whatever, what he said was, "I did call him mediocre." It doesn't.
He said he called his campaign mediocre. And I mean, to be very clear, Colin Allred did not run a stellar Senate
He's
campaign.
no longer running for Senate. So what does that
Well,
tell you?
because Jasmine Crockett came in and kind of like, to be honest,
Bogarted
big-footed him out of the race. And there were concerns. I mean, if you talk to Democrats in Texas,
As we
like
do,
strategists
yes.
and whatnot, and people that do campaign work, there was a concern about the kind of campaign Colin Allred ran the last time he ran for Senate. And
when
Democrats,
he lost.
when he lost. And Democrats do believe that this is an opportunity, that this is one of the seats that they can take. Like Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand of the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, they are talking about, they're expanding the map. So I just don't think it is ever okay, though. Like, yeah, was his campaign, was he running a mediocre campaign? Sure.
Yeah.
Should the white man be talking about another elected official and feel comfortable calling him a mediocre black man? No. And trying to pump up a black lady? Hell no.
It
That's
makes no
crazy.
sense.
That's
You know what?
crazy.
So Colin Allred recently said that he and Tallarico had a phone call, and that
How'd that go?
he said that he gave Tallarico a chance to apologize, and Tallarico did not. So
Because he's not sorry.
He's not sorry.
Because he again, the campaign was not stellar.
right. The question is, did he? And we may never. These are the kinds of things we may never get an answer to. Right.
We're
It's
not gonna
like-
get an answer
It's
to
like,
this.
did he call him a mediocre black man, or did he say he ran a mediocre campaign and she put in the mediocre black man? That's the question, and we will never get an answer to that.
I
Unfortunately,
mean, I think that's a lot of editorializing for her to do. I believe Morgan. Justice for Morgan. That was popping up in my group chat.
Yes.
And so this is going to be a race to watch. I will say, Colin Allred was not going to endorse Jasmine Crockett, quiet as it's kept. This little internet
Kerfuffle,
controversy,
yeah.
kerfuffle,
Yeah.
ended up pushing him to endorsing the race. Now, is Colin Allred's endorsement going to swing the race for Jasmine Crockett? No. But I do think it is a sign that when I used to work for particularly the
One of
Biden
the
campaign, one of the many
people.
campaigns, child, we used to always say things like, look, Twitter is not real life. Like
Correct.
the internet is not real life. And that is true. Campaigns can't get so caught up in what's happening on the internet that you ignore what is going on in the real communities with the people you are touching and talking to, the votes you're trying to
Right.
get. But this is an example of a quote unquote internet controversy that spanned Threads, TikTok, X, bubbling up in real life to the point where Tallarico's being asked about it and the mainstream papers are writing about it. The Texas Tribune wrote this up. I think this race is one to watch. And whomever comes out of this primary, Democrats are going to be full speed ahead, child, in the general election because they do need this Senate seat.
Yeah, and Ken Paxton, who it could win, right?
This is crazy. Ken Paxton cheated on his wife. Used some taxpayer dollars to do it. Gave her a job. Like, I'm giving you the For the People edited version of it. It all came to light. They were about to impeach him in Texas. He's the current attorney general. His wife, ex-wife now, is a state senator. She recused herself from the vote, child, and he survived it.
And here he is running. So, like, between him and John Cornyn, we will see. I think John Cornyn's a harder person to beat for both Tallarico and Crockett. But I think Paxton, because of how far right he is, and a little bit crazy, some may say, it
It's
might
very
be a little
right-wing.
bit easy. It might be easier. One thing that was very easy was us enjoying the Super Bowl halftime
giving
show.
Benito.
Come on, baby. I was in there like, I don't understand a word he was saying, y'all, but I was living.
He did what needed to be done. I think a lot of people were expecting Bad Bunny to come and like protest and put it all on the stage, just like they always want black and brown people to do. Like, oh, there's an issue where you're going to address it right up top.
Right.
Bad Bunny said, I'm going to do my job.
Correct.
I'm going to tell my story, and y'all are going to get it. And the girls
Yes.
that get it,
They got it. And the girls that didn't. Let's play a little bit from
Well.
Bad Bunny.
Dime, dime,
Here we go.
Hey.
a tu loco tu cariño.
Por el poder que se me otorga, los declaro
The marriage.
marido y mujer. Puedes besar a la novia.
Yeah.
They really got married.
Yes. They had invited him to their wedding,
Oh, yeah.
apparently.
I read that. Gaga feels a little random, but that's okay.
I'm going to tell you why. You didn't hear what he said.
I heard what he's, no, I heard I know.
Tell me,
what he said.
is this what you want? And then it cuts to a white woman singing English.
It's very good. Come on, Gagaritza.
Hey, hey, Lady Gagita. It's Gagita.
Look,
You said you didn't know what he was saying.
No, I don't speak any Spanish, y'all. And that's okay. I should have. I took 3 years of Spanish in class. I didn't listen to a damn word than people said. But see how I enjoyed it
Yes.
without understanding it? Because music is universal.
A lot of people didn't understand what he was saying because they don't know Spanish.
Yeah.
They couldn't catch up with the Duolingo in time. But the part that we played first where he says, Dime,
Yeah.
he's saying, tell me, is this what you want? And then it cuts to a white woman singing in English. Baby,
Is that what y'all wanted?
Benito.
So this is the thing about Super Bowls, performances, and halftime shows, especially nowadays, right? Is that
Well, to be clear, black people pioneered this. You know, back in the day, historically, the Super Bowl halftime show was not a thing until
No.
Michael Jackson. But they did that because the year before they got Michael Jackson to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show, In Living Color aired a special
Yeah.
during halftime of the Super Bowl, and millions of viewers left watching the Super Bowl and they went to the channel that In Living Color was
Yeah.
on, and the NFL and the advertisers took note and they said, never again are we gonna lose the audience. And so the halftime show is actually a ploy to
as
make
it
sure you don't
stands
change
now.
the channel.
And it works because we do
Yes.
lock in. I will say, when you look at what Kendrick did last year, what you look at what he did, what you're seeing is that artists understand that people don't want to be beat over the head. And so you have to be a little bit more sneaky in your Super Bowl performance. Like he can't walk out arrested by ICE, but what he can do is say, is this what you want? And have the white lady.
We
bounce the
love
guy
you,
out.
Gaga.
Yes,
We
we
just
love
refer
her
to
in
Gaga
that
as the white
song.
lady, but she
Exactly.
knows.
But like it shows you that he fully understands the politics of the moment. And what I found really interesting was there are a couple of different like right-wing influencers that went to the Super Bowl and then took out their phones and then played the TPUSA halftime show. Now, baby, let me tell you something. She had the wired headphones in. She could fully hear what happened with Bad Bunny because the wired headphones that I do not at all do anything. Let's play a little bit because we haven't seen the TPUSA.
No, and neither did the president
No.
because he was watching the Benito Bowl.
Correct.
Because that was what was on the screens at Mar-a-Lago. So let's watch together.
This
Let's listen.
is real American. You need to mind your business, man. Watch your mouth. Boy, have to knock your loud mouth down. I'm tired of talking, man.
Okay.
Mold the roads, what y'all missing?
Take her on a first date again.
I don't know any of these kids. Okay. Oh, she don't sound that bad. I don't know who she is, though.
Kid
oh,
Rock.
we know this one. He has on jorts. That's crazy. Crazy word.
Kid Rock of the American flag.
Crazy.
I mean,
He started with This Is America, which tells you a lot about what the message that they were trying to send. And I think, going into it, the right wing was like, he's going to be trying to split us apart. Benito said, God bless America at one point.
yes,
he is
did.
in no way, shape, or
that
form.
was the genius provocation, I think,
Yeah.
of the moment. So
Did you enjoy the Carrie Underwood light lady that was on?
I like country music.
Uh-huh.
I
do
did not
not.
enjoy those particular performances, but you know what? To each their own, okay?
Yes. And
To
see,
each-
we didn't hate on it too much.
You see, it cannot be for me, but I can
Right.
still let you have
Good luck
it.
to
This
you.
is
The
a
jorts were
lesson,
crazy.
child, a lesson.
Yes, the jean shorts were
Jean shorts.
weird
They're-
choice.
To be very clear, jorts are in right now.
No, they're not.
Okay, I'm gonna send
Do
you
you
a
have
couple
jorts?
links. I plan to get some.
I-
The girls are actually wearing them right now with boots. You know what?
I
I'm gonna
will-
send you some links.
Please
Don't you
do.
get a Jort though, because the way you just talk mess about it. There were a lot of Super Bowl ads.
There always are. A lot of good ones.
I am actually very concerned about the ad for the Ring camera,
Mhm.
where you could just
The dogs.
get the dogs,
Uh-huh.
but it's not going to be
not
used to
about the
find
dogs,
dogs. They
no.
trying to ease us into surveillance. That's another story. Mike Tyson did a ad, and it was a
Maha,
government ad.
right.
Maha. Let's play the ad.
My sister's name was Denise. She died of obesity at 25. She had a heart attack. I was so fat and nasty. I would eat anything. I was like 345 pounds. A quart of ice cream every hour. I had so much self-hate when I was like that. I just wanted to kill myself. We're the most powerful country in the world, and we have the most obese, fudgy people. Something has to be done about processed food in this country.
I just want to know, when Michelle Obama was talking about this, the conservative movement said she didn't want people to have fun.
Yeah.
And said just wanted to give them vegetables. And so like they're trying to make fetch happen
Right,
and take what
again.
Mrs. Obama was doing. So like justice for Mrs. Obama.
The choice of messenger is very confusing to me.
Mike Tyson is a convicted rapist.
And I think at the end of the day, your messenger matters. You know this better than I do.
Mhm.
The person that you choose to be in front of your camera to talk about the things you want to talk about matter. With that little fake tear that he had going on, talking about, the sad story about his sister, how he was fat, I guess, and he wanted to kill himself. There is somebody else with that story who doesn't have the history with women that he does. So I think it's very interesting that this administration, who says we're on the side of women, we love women, chose him as
You know
their
why
messenger.
they chose him though? Because he's
Black.
they looked past, he's black and he's an athlete and he is
Mhm.
recognizable.
And what's
They
that?
look
The
past-
culture.
That's the culture. They
Correct.
look past some of the untoward pieces
Mhm.
of his story, much like they look past some of the untoward pieces of the president's story. So, okay.
One thing that has been in my group chats, especially because it affects people that I know, right,
Mhm.
is the Washington Post, where they laid off almost half the staff that work there. Now, this is a man, Jeff Bezos, who said that, he came in and he told everybody that he was on their side, he was going to do it, and that he had their back. They did the Democracy Dies in Darkness. But then this is the same man who, and I was one of like 20 reporters who were able to go inside for the inauguration of Donald Trump because, went into the rotunda. And when I saw him and those other billionaire tech moguls in there, what it told me was
They had better seats than the
the
senators.
secretaries. And I think at the end of the day, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And what he showed is that he is going to do things, it appears, that make Donald Trump more likely to like him. Blue Origin, right, his little space rocket situation. They're trying to get a lot of business with the federal government. Donald Trump does not like the Washington Post. And so you have this billionaire who, frankly, could afford for 5 years to lose what the Washington Post was losing, which was $100 million a year. He could lose that for years and be completely fine because he has hundreds of billions of dollars.
But you know why they were losing money? Because the editorial direction looked as though they were bending the knee to the president.
Mhm.
And it started
When
the
they
last
wanted
presidential
to
election,
endorse.
planned to endorse. They did the interviews and they decided the editorial board was going to endorse then Vice President Kamala Harris. Jeff Bezos shut the endorsement down and said, the paper's not going to
Do endorsements anymore. Yeah.
That was the start of people taking away their subscriptions. But I think this Washington Post story is bigger than just
Yeah.
what has happened. And to be clear, there are excellent journalists at the Washington Post.
Really
what
good
has happened
journalists.
to the paper is a dereliction of duty, frankly, but it is bigger than just that paper because we are talking about the fourth estate. We're talking about our democracy and the ability for very wealthy people to come in and buy up key cultural entities like newspapers, news stations, social media sites. A group that is backed by the Ellisons now owns TikTok. Y'all remember TikTok was messing up a couple days
Yeah.
ago? child?
It makes people question.
Yes, I mean, how you are receiving your information and nowadays who owns it, it matters because if you are a Sinclair station, when it comes election time, they might pull that stunt they pulled the last election where they had everybody from Sinclair stations across the country reading the same dystopian type script.
Yeah.
Who owns the information?
Helps create the reality that people live
Correct.
in.
And that's what I'm concerned about, that people are not paying attention and aware about. Everybody likes to, talk their ish about the shade room and and who is giving the shade room money and the editorial bent or the political bent they believe the shade room has. You should take that same scrutiny to some of these other sources and
Yeah.
news entities.
Yeah, be mad at the white men the same way you mad at the black people at the Shade Room.
Well, exactly.
You know what Bezos was very excited about? The Melania documentary.
Oh, because they paid for it. 40. Let's just be very clear. They paid Melania 40, or her company, $40 million, and then had a budget of $35 million for promotion.
That's $75 million.
That's a lot
How much
of
did it make the
money.
first weekend?
Not a lot of money. How
$8
much
million.
did it make?
It made $8 million. Now for documentaries, that's big. People don't go watch documentaries in
You know,
theaters.
I think a lot of that were the journalists that were going to watch it to see what it was.
A
But
lot.
maybe some people in the community also.
Yeah.
You know, they're fans
Not my
of Melania
community.
Trump. No, not mine either.
Somebody's
but they're
community.
fans of Melania Trump, of
Somebody.
this president. And they obviously went to watch it. But there was this whole movement to not watch the Melania documentary and instead watch Michelle Obama's documentary Becoming on Netflix. And so lots of people
Started by black women on the internet
On the
saying,
internet.
And my mother, who, shout out to Leah, is stay on
Shout out to Miss
Facebook.
Leah.
Stay on Facebook. And so, which is a problem
She's also on
sometimes.
Instagram.
Also on Instagram.
In my
She
DMs.
She
Matter of fact, I need to DM your mama after this show.
Exact, tell her hi. She texted me twice, and then she called me, and I'm like, Mom, it's in the morning. I said, what's wrong? She said, have you seen the Michelle Obama documentary? I said, ma'am, I saw it 6 years ago when it came out originally. But she's watched it twice because she heard about the Melania thing. She wanted to do it, but then she also found new things about a person that she really liked. So many people watched it. It's on Netflix. It went into the top 10. I rewatched it as well. It went into the top 10 again. This is 6 years old.
Yeah.
So it shows you the power of culture, right? When it needs to get into the politics of things and what it says. And let's not forget that Melania Trump stole somebody stole some words and put them in Melania's speech from Michelle Obama. So it's very
All those years
interesting.
ago.
And the way that Republicans have treated Michelle Obama. You talked about the food thing, but also calling her all types of apes and the terrorist fist bump all these years. So it feels very kismet that the thing that they cared about so much, which is this visual, she won the visual battle.
She
that
won
we'll
the visual
get.
battle.
Let's take a quick break because when we come back, Miles Frost and Tony Goldwyn are here. You know, one as Fitzgerald Grant III from a little show called Scandal, the other a Tony Award-winning Michael Jackson. But they are both much more than that. Don't go anywhere. Tony Goldwyn has played a president. He's played the man who turned on Patrick Swayze in Ghost. We're still upset about that. It's the most rented movie of 1991, a network exec on Hacks, and most recently, extremely bad guy in One Battle After Another.
And Miles Frost is the youngest person to win a Tony for Best Leading Actor in a musical, playing Michael Jackson. If you didn't see it, you were crazy. And that was already 4 years ago. We have asked them to come talk with us today because now they are working together. And right now we're joined by Tony Goldwyn and Miles Frost. Greetings to you both.
Greetings.
Thank y'all
Thanks
for
having
coming
us.
in.
Yes, we
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Thank you for
Okay,
having us.
what are y'all doing together in D.C.? Because I think people are like, now, what? Tony Goldwyn, Miles Frost, what's going on?
Tell them, Miles, what are we doing?
We are doing a beautiful piece of work entitled Shay Joey. I play Joey Evans, who is in a jazz club in Chicago in the 1940s. And, you know, what this story is really about is the struggle to exist as an artist.
Tony, you're a co-director of this.
Yes,
when you think
with the great Savion Glover.
Savion Glover, yes.
Who's also choreographing and
Who I saw, I guess he's just doing it in real time. Sometimes Savion comes to work and he's like, you know what, I just thought of something.
Yeah.
We're going to learn this right now.
what the show is really about is the power of community and the answer to the vicissitudes of life is the power of community and building community as in this case a creative community.
Yeah, the themes you're talking about, they ring true in the 1940s and they also ring true now. I think there are a lot of people looking for community, a lot of people trying to figure out how to snake through this very strange world that we're living in. So when you think about, Tony, bringing that to 2026, right, and the importance of that, why was this story so important to tell in this moment?
You know, we've been working on this project for years.
Yeah.
I've been working on it for almost 10 years, and about 5 years ago started my partnership with Savion. And what's so, there's a kind of metaphysical aspect to creating art, I have found, that when something kind of clicks and it finds its moment.
Yeah.
I mean, we mentioned One Battle After Another. Paul
Mhm.
Thomas Anderson has been working on that movie for 20 years.
But this
And
was
yet-
the moment.
This was.
I watched that movie. I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, this is
Mhm.
happening right now.
Yeah.
And Shea Joey is the same. You know, this idea of, you know, an artist needing community. That is the ultimate answer. Is something that I think we are discovering is really what we need right now.
When you all look at the responsibility of an artist to reflect the time, speak out about the kinds of things that are happening, what is the responsibility, Tony? I'll start with you, of artists to speak out or to help reflect what's going on in the country around them?
I guess the way that I look at it is I've come to feel that a story is really only worth telling for me if it's something that really connects with telling the truth about, you know, expressing something that's for real in terms of the problems and struggles and questions that we have as human beings. And the more I find myself doing that, the more connected the work seems to be to what's happening in real life, as opposed to something that's not telling the truth. That's an artifice. That's you know, that just doesn't interest me. Sometimes that's great and entertaining, and you truly do want to get away.
Like an escape, yeah.
Yeah, my thing is what I love about Shea Joey is you come into our club and you'll feel like you're escaping, and yet what's actually happening is you're connecting with these human beings on stage who are in reaction to a world that sometimes is very challenging. And the pain, honestly, we talk about that a lot. Savion and Miles and I, it was that life is... The answer is to celebrate the pain and community, the difficulties, the challenges. What do? We sing, we dance, we create, because that's the antidote. So when the Kennedy Center is being shut down, people come to Arena Stage,
Right.
you know, and want to go, okay, well, people crave it. We need it.
Yeah. Miles, in 2026, where we're seeing attacks on Black and brown communities, right? When you are an artist with a platform, with awards, someone that when they put your name in the marquee, people are coming to see the show.
Yes.
So how do you think about the responsibility of being someone with that platform?
That's my job, you know, as someone with a platform. I believe it's my responsibility. I don't want to speak for everybody else, but I feel like it's my responsibility to speak for the people who can't speak for themselves and don't have a voice, or don't feel like they have a strong enough voice that if they did speak, it would be heard and, you know, taken into account. I just feel that way as a person. You know, if I wasn't a person with a platform, I would still be doing the same, speaking out and doing the best I can to make sure that people are heard and people are understood, because it's also my story. And that's what I love, is like, you know, none of these people that we're portraying are real characters that have existed in real life, but at the same time, they are somebody's auntie, they are somebody's cousin, they are, you know, somebody's brother. And when you watch it, you can relate to, like, oh, she reminds me of my such and such, my auntie this, you know, my auntie Carol or whatever, you know. And that's what this is about. That's the point, is to feel that connectivity and remind us that if we lose everything, we still have each other. And as cliche as it sounds, that's all we got. If we don't have each other, what else do we have?
I mean, I really feel that right now. The part about power and community, I think, is real. I mean, you look at all the protests that have been happening all across the country, or when you know, people pitch us things in the email all the time, child. I'm like, please stop sending the pictures to my work email. It's inundated. But I got something the other day about the Children's Theater in Minneapolis. And the Children's Theater in Minneapolis is actually 5 blocks from where Alex Preddy was killed. And it affected their shows. They had there was the radius around it, the blocks around it, the streets were closed, so the children couldn't go in and perform. But they have been finding ways to still bring the actors and the actresses, these young people, this community together. And then that's been their way of coping. I mean, I think about, we often, Eugene and I were talking a couple weeks ago about how serious things are happening and then people just have a meme for everything. And how the memification is also the way people cope. Like we're finding joy in the pain.
That's just what I was saying about celebrating the pain. That's what we do. And art thrives when it comes into friction with politics. That's when artists kind of step up. And this is going to be an incredibly fertile time for the arts. It really is. No matter how much, you know, the powers that be may try to shut it down, that will only make it more powerful, because what outlet do we have? So when you have Alex, you know, Preddy's murder, then the children's theater in Minneapolis gets going. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's an extraordinary thing.
Yeah.
I'd be worried if they weren't trying to shut us up and shut us out.
Ooh,
Yeah,
tell me more.
right.
You know, because that just means that we're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing as far
Yeah.
as telling these stories and bringing awareness on all fronts. And you know, it's making them nervous. It's making them nervous. And we like that. It's coming in their seat. You know?
I don't know.
Miles, we are 10 days into Black History Month. One of the things I think that is really interesting about art is that sometimes art and artists can fill the gap of what the government is trying to keep from folks. So, right, we have these attacks on Black history, attacks on everyone in history who's not like a straight white man. Sorry, Tony. Everyone else's art is thrown to the side. So what do you, when you're thinking about like the projects that you're taking on, the kind of work that you want to do, how do you think about, okay, these are helping to fill the gaps in which the federal government doesn't want these folks to have this conversation about race or to know the history of this country, the real history of this country?
You know, somebody that I've always used as a template for the type of actor I wanted to be is Chadwick Boseman. And I'm not gonna lie to you, as I'm, you know, continuously discovering myself, when stuff like this comes up, I just ask myself, like, what would Chadwick do in a situation like this? You know, we talk a lot about the sound in our show and how important the sound is, not just, you know, what we listen to and what we hear, but the sound and the vibrations that connect us all on the earth, the sounds that we hear echo to our ancestors, that we don't know why we do certain things. Like you sitting like that right now is because it's ingrained in your body. That's what your mama, your auntie, your grandma did, you know? And it's just things that are in us. And we are reminding ourselves through this show that we are all connected in that way, especially through melanin. And it's such a beautiful thing to realize that you have access to. And that's something that Savion speaks to. Everything is available to us. We just have to sometimes let go of the things that we've been taught because it blocks us from going beyond what we think we know.
Yeah.
You know, we say a line that a lot of people, it takes some people some time to get, but it's like, do you think a bird knows we call it a bird?
Come on.
Because a bird's not a bird to a bird.
No.
A bird is more than a bird. Just like man and woman are more than just man and woman. You know?
Not Shay Joey pushing the envelope.
Correct.
Yeah.
Is there a political lesson in that? Because it feels, you know, our whole podcast, that these two things, politics and culture, are so linked. And in this question of where we have the president and Stephen Miller, the deputy chief of staff, who are trying to essentially determine, like just the two of them and a couple of other people, who gets to call themselves an American, right? It feels like those two things are very connected, Tony.
Yeah, no, 100%. What's happening now in politics that is anti-culture is a kind of a revisionist thing of saying, no, we're going to control the story, which is a very common thing that those in power do. They want to control the narrative to be, a certain way, and then accuse other people of frankly doing that. So, so I have this T-shirt from the LDF that says Black history is American history. So as a white man, I'm involved in telling this story so that I can expand how I listen to the world, what I'm not hearing, what I'm not understanding, what do I need to, comprehend. So this whole idea of like, well, no, we need, American history to make us feel good. So this insane, absurd idea, we can't teach school children X, Y, or Z because it'll make them feel bad about themselves. I mean, the number of times in my association, in my partnership with Savion, is this constant dialogue of, him challenging me to go, you just said this, Tony, or you thought what you were saying was this, but actually you need to know how that was heard. And I'm like, whoa, okay.
And shout out to Tony, because he's been so receptive to that and understanding, and he puts it in, as soon as he learns it, he puts it into practice. And I really appreciated that about you and respect you as a man just based on that tip alone.
Without getting too much into the detail, we got into a whole debate earlier this year, Savion and I came into one rehearsal and he showed me a number and I was like, oh, that's amazing. But can we have more of is there a way to work some of the melody into it? And like the room went frozen. And he said to me, I hear the melody. You don't hear the melody?
Nope.
And I was like, and I realized I'd stepped in something.
Yeah.
And he said, Tony, all the black people in this room hear the melody. Like he went, and we had this big conversation about how white people hear things, but how I was hearing it as, and I was like, oh, I need to learn how to listen to this. And so it became this very confronting conversation that we had with love and respect, but it was very intense.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need to put this in the show.
Yeah.
This needs to go in the
This
show.
conversation,
And so that conversation, that debate, that tension is now not only in the show, it's a central aspect of the story that we are telling.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. It's like just being of not getting back to that thing of sanitizing history. Is like, no, we need to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah.
We need to go, I don't understand. How am I moving through this world?
We can't be in community if we don't do that.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
We can't be in community if we don't do that.
No, we're in a bubble, is where we are.
It's called growing pains for a reason.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's not
You
supposed
know?
to feel good.
Exactly.
Tony, you work with a lot of black people.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, a lot of black projects.
When I think about it, especially like over the last like decade, 15 years, like, obviously Scandal, this project, one battle after another, right? And issues of race and tension in this country. Why? Why do you as someone who has been in this business for such a long time, as a white man who can probably pick and choose which roles you want to do, what brings you to working with people of color so much?
Because
other than we're fabulous, but other than
there's that
Yeah.
for sure. But it is one of the central tensions in our society that I felt I needed to understand better. We grow up in these kind of silos, and even though my parents were progressive and all of that, I still grew up in a white world.
Yeah,
for sure. My best friend in elementary school was black, but he was the only black kid in our class, I felt this curiosity and need to understand. And so I've always been, I don't know, of course, fascinated, but feel it's when I say a responsibility, a personal responsibility, a responsibility as a human being. To keep learning how to listen to not. Savion said to me once, he said, Tony, most white people don't want to know. They don't want to know. And I was like, of course I want to know.
But I think there's a lesson in that. There's a lesson in that for other people because, I'm from Nebraska. I think I'm from Nebraska, and I grew up often being one of only a handful of Black people in some of the spaces. So I do think that particularly, and especially now, it is kind of taboo to ask.
Yeah.
People nobody wants to say the wrong thing. Nobody wants to be accused of being a racist. Everybody's like, I'm very progressive.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I didn't vote for the president. I'm like, what? I didn't vote for Trump. It's like, okay, baby, that don't mean you can't be corrected.
Right.
And I think what we're drawing out in this conversation is the importance of being in community, but being able to have a conversation. And given the challenges that we are currently experiencing in this world, if we can't have a conversation, I don't know we're going to be able to
We ain't
do it.
got nothing.
That's the whole. In fact, with politics, I've been trying to be a real advocate and get engaged in politics, and as a
I met Tony talking about states and
states and gerrymandering. That's right,
Yeah.
years ago, and I've been involved in political campaigns and using whatever platform I have to advocate on those things. But in this new world, since the last election cycle, I was like, what is celebrity activism? Am I helping, or am I making a mess? Am I just shouting in my little bubble? And so the conclusion that I've come to for now is it really is about getting people into conversation. I try to have as many conversations as I can with my conservative friends and Republican. I find it extremely difficult to have conversations with people in the MAGA world because it's like we're operating on two different realities. So that is very challenging, but it doesn't mean we can't have the conversations. And in fact, the conversations I'll tend to have get at things that are not political. That is where the antidote lies. I don't know right now if that's where I think our intention should be.
Yeah.
before we let you guys go, we want to end on a lighter note.
Yeah, yeah.
We've had a heavy conversation, so we got like just a little bit of rapid fire for you, okay?
All right.
First off, Cardi B or Nicki Minaj?
Well, I'm going Cardi B for obvious reasons.
Mr. Goldwyn.
Cardi B.
Yep, good answer. Good answer.
Kennedy Center or Arena Stage? That's an easy one.
Oh, come on now. These are too softball. Go ahead, Miles. What's your choice there?
I would choose obviously Arena Stage because
You better get down to Arena Stage if you're listening to this.
Why aren't you there? Like why you know?
Michael Jackson or Beyonce?
Michael, because Beyonce would also say Michael.
Yeah, agreed.
Last one. Olivia Pope or Olivia Benson?
I'm going to get in trouble.
Correct.
I'm not answering that question. I'm going to get in trouble on two sides of two badass women. So don't look at me.
I think they are pulling a Ghislaine Maxwell and pleading the fifth.
It sounds like
That's right.
It sounds
Thank
like
you so much, Tony Goldwyn, Miles Frost. It's been an excellent conversation. Thank you for chatting with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys at Arena Stage.
Absolutely,
great.
absolutely.
So fun.
After a quick break, we're going to lighten the mood just a little bit more. Stay right there. We have now reached the side chat.
Yes. What is the side chat? Tell me what the side chat
Well,
is.
Tony and Miles, we invited them into our group chat.
Yes.
And I think that was an excellent
Very
conversation we
good.
just had.
Yeah.
Like I was already gonna go see the
Correct.
play, but now I am really.
We should go
really
see it together.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
we'll
It's a
take the
date.
husbands.
It's a date. I don't think my husband. Well, you know what? My husband might want to go. He likes the art. Mr. Townsend
Yeah,
likes
Mr.
the
Townsend
art.
loves the
I'm not gonna
arts.
speak for him, but
Yeah.
I do need to ask if he would like to attend.
If not, it'll just be the three of
The
us.
side chat, you know how. Usually, what Eugene and I do, if we are on the same call or in the same meeting, when we leave the meeting or the call,
Immediately.
we have a side conversation chat or the
Correct. We
side
will
chat.
talk about you.
We're gonna break out of the group chat and talk about you on the side. So
Exactly.
that is the side
Yeah.
chat. But this side chat is positive.
It is. I thought Tony and Miles made such really good points. I think, Tony talking about how like it is important for people in the big communities, white people, to be listening, right? His story about how he couldn't feel the beat, he didn't know what the melody was, but everyone else heard it. Like
I think that's a metaphor for these times right now in America.
And it's about like being able to reflect on where you don't know things. And that's okay, right? There are places in which we don't know things and we check each other also and other people in our lives. I thought that was just really good to hear and talk about.
It's giving me something to think about going into the weekend.
Yes.
What are you you do know it's Valentine's Day this
I
weekend, right? Do
do.
you have plans?
No, me and my husband
Oh.
celebrate each other on other times. My birthday,
Why?
because my birthday is also close to Valentine's Day, so I never have been one to care about it that much.
Really?
So no,
You
I
don't do birthday
care.
on your actual birthday?
No,
and
I do-
Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day?
we do my birthday as like the thing.
So you ain't getting Nate a gift?
No.
Okay.
The gift is my present.
Oh, wow.
But
Send
no,
it.
but
Return
we-
to sender, child.
But we go to dinner. We
But do
we-
you have a reservation?
Yes.
Okay. 'cause
I
if
ain't
you
telling
didn't
you
have
where.
I'm okay, but if you did, I was just
I'll
saying,
tell
if you
you
didn't
where.
have a reservation, you wasn't gonna get it nowhere.
No, it's too
because
late.
Valentine's Day falls on a Saturday. It's a
Correct.
reminder for everybody out there. Okay, Valentine's Day is on a Saturday. So if you need to take your main on Saturday,
Correct.
take your side on Friday if you have it.
Be clear, and if you can go to McDonald's, they have the McDonald's caviar,
My
situation.
sister-in-law texted me
If-
about the McDonald's.
I need to know if
First of all,
she's.
the internet is crazy. They got people, they got folks that otherwise wouldn't know nothing about a caviar, eating caviar on the
Accessible
nuggets.
now.
This is the internet.
Yeah.
The espresso martinis, the
Yes,
caviar
yes,
nuggets.
yes.
The people are being influenced,
let
and
it-
I'm not mad at it.
Are you guys
know?
doing anything for Valentine's Day? I assume yes.
Well, yes.
Tell Mr. Townsend whatever bag you don't want, I'll take.
Well, Mr. Townsend already, he got me some bags last week when he asked me to be his Valentine. I came home and there were bags.
I'm robbing her. Just to be
Oh,
very clear. I've told
gosh.
her and Mr. Townsend this.
He's taking me on a trip, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay. So she ain't gonna be working, is what she's saying.
And not on Friday. No.
Are you doing anything else? Can I tell you something? I started watching The Pit. Have you seen this?
Okay, but I'm going to start The Pit because they don't want so many damn awards.
That's why I started watching
I'm like,
it.
maybe it's that good.
No, I ended up catching up, which I hate because I like to binge things. Y'all, it is so good. I feel like I can give you a tracheotomy right now.
Some people call it competence porn.
It's like
I heard.
it's about us watching people who really know what they're doing. Like the show,
like me at
yeah,
work.
correct. At Grey, the thing with like shows like Grey's Anatomy is there's like a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
And in a show
'cause
like
that's
The Pit,
real.
correct. But in a show like The Pit, in the ER, it actually is like there aren't that many mistakes, right? Like, and so it's really, all of us needing like a comfort blanket of people knowing what the hell they're doing in these
Okay,
times.
well, you are encouraging me to start The
Yes,
Pit
it's
sooner than
very
later.
good.
I did watch Bridgerton.
Yes.
The Bridgerton story. Only 4 episodes are out. I'm ready for the next 4.
Wait, why only 4?
Because they split it up.
I hate this.
They
No,
want y'all
I
to
don't
watch.
like this. Either let us binge it or do one a week. This is BS. I'm sick of it.
Ted Sarando said, chill. He said, clock that, okay? Clock it.
Right.
We're not about
Shonda-
to come for Shonda, though. Hold up
No,
now.
Shonda, you can do whatever you want,
Justice
but like,
for
please,
Shonda Rhimes.
please, Shonda.
He didn't even watch it. Okay, well.
I am behind the season.
We appreciate you all for joining us today. Eugene, I think this was a nice first episode.
I think this is good.
All right, I'll take it. So we'll do this next week, same time, same place?
Maybe. We'll see if I can squeeze you in.
Squeeze me in. All right. I'm the one with the primetime show. Thank you. We'll
Clock
see you
that.
later. Clock it. Okay? Clock that.